SIG has established a culture here, and it's just, everyone asks me, like, what's the difference between, and I just say, like, just a winning culture that he brings. Like, there's no point during any part of the game that it's like, oh, like, we could lose this game. It's like, no. Like, we're not only are we going to keep going, but as the game goes on, we're going to keep pounding and pounding and pounding and put our foot on their throats, like, in the fourth quarter, and just dominate them. And that's comes from him and the team in the huddles, like on the sideline, just getting the boys going.
Welcome back to The Player's Perspective, a podcast hosted by Miller Kopp and powered by Hoosiers Connect. As the official NIL collective of IU Athletics, Hoosiers Connect provides exclusive access to IU student athletes, offering fans an inside look at their lives both in and out of competition. Tune in weekly to hear stories and perspectives from the incredible athletes that make Hoosier Nation proud.
But I was talking to my older brother, football player Andy. He started out as a tight end, that O-lineman, go back to a tight end, blocking tight end.
Yeah.
Never got bats.
What was the heaviest he got up to?
Like just going from like tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's pretty top.
6'5".
Yeah.
You could work. It's just
oh, we're starting now?
Yeah,
we've been all, oh my God.
That's the thing. Just start start talking. But he I told you it's just the combo. And but no, it was hilarious to see him, and I had kind of told him this a little bit, but this guy got big. Like, he got big. And I would talk to him after, like, our games, or his games.
Yeah.
And, he wouldn't play much, or maybe they were getting killed, so he'd get in. And I'm like, dude, what's it like having a block like some of those guys? And he said, dude, those dudes on that defensive line are freaks. He said in practice, though, it was the hardest because, like, those guys are going hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's it like having to block those guys? Knowing you've got an animal in front of you.
Well, like, going back to, like, freshman, sophomore year when I was just starting to play a little bit more and going up against these guys, like, from Michigan, Ohio State, things like that, it's just, I mean, these dudes, they're men. They're grown men. And at that time, I was probably 18, 19, and these guys are like 22, 23. And just, I mean, it's a grind. And, but as I've gotten older and I kind of learn more about who I'm going against and their tendencies and things like that, it kind of gets a little easier. But, D linemen are brutal, man.
How much does that go into it? Like the film and tendencies, and guys have go-to moves? Because I was asking my older brother too. He said, ask, if you do any of the D linemen, ask them like their go-to move. And I said, dude, they're not going to tell me anyways. And he said they will. Like, they all have it. Like, they want to.
As one. But I think as I'm like an older player and I've been here a while, like, my preparation is really important, like, mentally more than physically, because I mean, I've taken thousands and thousands of reps, but it's more so me kind of maturing from a mental standpoint and watching the film. And our offensive line coach, Coach Bostad, like, does a great job preparing us for every game. And they can never throw something at us that we're not prepared for, and that's credit to him and how he teaches in the film room, and how the whole line kind of gets that information. And what they do, like, what we do with that is just take it out to the field, because you can learn so much from film, but being able to translate that onto the field is what's the most important thing. And then guys' go-to moves, like, everyone has one. And, like, I mean, Carp and CJ, like, our D linemen this year, they're so good with their hands and they're so powerful that a lot of their moves work and they're very successful. So I wouldn't say they have one move, but a lot of them work, and that's what makes them so good.
You talked about, like, your progression from freshman to now. What's that been like from your mindset from your skill, like things you've learned, because I know you've played a bunch and you've had, like you said, thousands of reps. What's that progression been like?
I think it's, like I said, it's a lot of mental progression, because as an offensive lineman, like, so my first 4 years of playing, I played left guard, and then this year I moved over to center. And with center, it becomes a whole different thing, because like at the guard, you kind of have to know what everyone's doing, but it's more so just you and your left tackle for the main part. But as a center, you have to know what the left tackle, left guard, right tackle are doing, plus tight ends if they bring them in. Then you have to read defenses and coverages and personnel and packages. And when, in third down and long, they have to, they're bringing in their pass rushing personnel. And then you have to be prepared for that. And there's different calls for different. It's so long story.
That's not.
Story short, as I grow older, I can start, progressing my knowledge to defenses and coverages and things like that, just so I can better myself and the O-line and whatever can help us play better.
That's okay. You just breaking down all the stuff you had to do you have to do as a center is nuts. I guess, number one, I'm a basketball player. I like football. I like watching football. But I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know any of that stuff.
I think that's the beauty in football, is like, as a fan, you can watch it, but they don't really because there's a lot that goes on in every single play. And not only am I identifying the Mike linebackers, if you see quarterbacks in the NFL pointing, are identifying the mic, so who they're working to. But I had to do that, and snapping the ball. It's a whole lot of things that go into one play, but it's kind of like going back to the reps thing. Like, once you just muscle memory at that point.
I guess you probably answer that question, but what's the biggest misconception about playing on the offensive line?
When you see a quarterback get sacked, or running backs not, hitting 60-yard runs every single play, like, people love the O-line. It's very easy to blame, because, when a quarterback gets sacked, it's usually on the offensive line. But, there's a lot of other pieces to the puzzle in pass protection and then in the run game. So it's not always the offensive line, but I think a lot of people, it's just, there are guys that are easy to blame, that we, the saying is, you get none of the credit. Yeah. All the quarterbacks, running backs, receivers get all the credit, but that's what I signed up for. That's what I love to do. And it just comes with a job.
Dude, that's a great way of putting it. I feel like I can relate to that a little bit. So my role is, for people that watch this, probably IU fans. I was a shooter. Still play professionally. I'm a shooter. Shoot threes. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, I play with Trace Jackson Davis. Dude's a freak.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, guy gets double teamed. I'm out there to bail him out and shoot some threes, right?
Yeah.
But the times he wouldn't get double teamed were because, I like to think, I was out there. They couldn't leave me.
Yeah.
Because I was a shooter.
Of course.
And that goes a little unnoticed, Like this guy Trace, and I love him. Dude, I love you to death. But the guy would have 35 points, and I'd be there in the corner like this, just waiting.
Yeah.
Hoping my man doesn't help. And, it doesn't get as much love.
Yeah.
Now, it's a little different, though, because you're taking hits all game and smashing heads. But versus me just standing there in the corner. But, dude, that's a selfless role. But like you said, you signed up for it.
Yeah.
But how do you respond? I've always thought, how do you respond to, and you just said, it's not all your fault, but you have to feel some, some way about giving up a sack or something like that. How do you respond to that when you go back into the huddle or whatever it may be?
I like to think of myself as a very level, especially on game day. I'm a super level-headed guy. I never get up too high, I never get too low. And as a captain and as a leader, if my teammates see me kind of getting too erratic and too emotional during, in the huddle or something, they'll kind of be like, okay, because what's going on? So I think kind of being like that steady guy in the huddle and constantly encouraging. And, you hate to see quarterback, like your quarterback gets sacked, but, at the end of the day, you got to flush it and move on. And that's what football is. And basketball is the same way. Like, you miss a shot, so what? You move on. And I think that the biggest part about being successful in sports is kind of just being able to handle adversity, and whether that's good or bad, and just kind of keep grinding.
Yeah. Just staying level-headed is so hard.
Yes.
It's so hard, especially in the heat of the game, the heat of the moment. You're competitive.
Yeah.
You're going mano-a-mano.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest struggle is staying even-keeled. But you have to have that, that edge.
Exactly.
If you don't have the edge, then you're not who you are in the field, but you can't let it take you. Because my biggest thing is not letting that impair my decision-making. Mm-hmm. It's like that fire, not let it impair my decision-making. Coach Sig was saying, too, like, he tries to stay level-headed and even-keeled on the sideline. Is that something?
Why are you laughing about that? He's on game day. Like, he's a very, even-keeled guy. Obviously, before we run out for the game, like, those speeches are nuts. I listen to it. He gets the boys going, and he's a very easy guy to play for. And he's just a guy that, you're not going to get much out of him, on game day, but you just know, he's so locked in. And when you have a guy at the top like that, it's you just feel like you could do anything. And I think, we've proved that a little bit so far, and I'm just really excited to see how the season progresses with the team they got.
As a captain, do you feel like you got to kind of uphold that standard that he's keeping to?
And last year, the season we had, it was important for me personally, because, when and I've been a part of good seasons, I've been a part of bad seasons, and, once you get to like that middle lull of season, guys kind of start seeping out, buying out and kind of checking out. So I had to be a guy that didn't let that happen. And I think this year, just keeping guys mission focused and ready to go every single week is kind of what motivates me and kind of gets me in the O-line ready. And that's
huge. There was a thing, dude, I love what you said. I'm thinking about how I'm relating to all the stuff that you're saying, because my last year here, I kind of started a thing where in my career, I never missed a game, never missed a practice. Well, the only practice I missed was because I missed a flight coming from Christmas break, and coach, got on me for that one. But my thing was you got to bring your hard hat. Mm-hmm. You're coming to work every single day. You bring your hard hat.
Yeah.
And so after throughout the season, in that middle of the season lull, when it started to get colder, when it's guys are banged up a little bit, I'm coming in. I'm like, dude, you got your hard hat on, and I'm like, bro, you better strap it in, strap up, and we're here to work.
Yeah,
we're gonna practice.
Yeah.
What's that look like for you as a captain and coming in with your hard hat on?
For the most part, it's not only how you bring yourself, the energy you bring to practice and getting yourself ready, but it's also because football, there's 100 and something guys at practice a lot of day. So being a guy that people look to kind of be that, that guy that comes in with his heart at, but it's a lot, it's tough, but it's something that I've, worked for my whole, leading up to this point. I've always kind of had that leadership role, and it kind of comes naturally to me, but being able to bring guys with you, every single day. And I think that's what makes the best or creates the best leadership.
Yeah.
And I think it's super important as teams go on throughout the year and you get to week 8, 9, 10, that you bring guys with you and just keep chugging, man. It's a long season, but you just got to keep chugging.
That's a great analogy. It's you just got to keep just pulling guys along. Because a lot of times, especially the young guys, you can fall into a trap of it's week 8 or week 9 or like in basketball, it's, February.
Yeah.
And it's easy to fall into that like natural excuse.
Yeah.
The natural pitfall of, it's, later in the season, or, I should technically be tired right now because of what everybody else thinks. But it's like, I'm here. Like, I'm like, let's go.
Yep.
We're going to get there. We're going to win. We're going to figure it out. Like, we're going to keep pushing. Dude, that's huge. And I know I had seniors and players, teammates like that who just said, nah, dude, come on. Like we're here to win. We're here to win, like compete and play. But I'm curious, you've been through winning seasons, losing seasons, and you've been through a coaching change.
Mm-hmm.
I've transferred, but I've been in 2 different locker rooms. I feel like with 2 different coaches, there's going to be 2 different locker rooms.
Yeah.
What's the difference? I want to say, what's the difference between the locker room? But is there a difference that you felt between 2 lockers? Like,
absolutely. And I think I kind of realized this after spring ball, how close everyone was. Like, not only, like, obviously the offense, like each position group is going to be close with each other, but it's like, is the offensive line going to be close with the defensive backs or the linebackers, or are the wide receivers close with the D line? It's things like that. And like, I sit back in the locker room, I'm just like I could go up to anyone in this locker room and be totally chill with them and hang out outside of the facility. And I think I haven't seen that in my time here. We've had close teams, but I mean, like, this is the closest team that I've seen since I've been here in the offensive line. I mean, we hang out all the time outside the facility. And I think that's so important for building a team and building a chemistry and just like you're in the facility, like it's work time, but like getting out of the facility and going to dinner or just being together as a group, I think is the most important thing about building like team chemistry. I think you've done a really good job of that.
No, that's also something I've always been curious about. Basketball, super tight knit because you're all 10, 12 guys. Football, I've always wondered, like, if defense and offense can be boys, like can be friends and stuff. So that's can be a thing, and it also cannot be a thing.
Yeah, I think like previous years,
and I'm not like, oh, you're trying to get info. Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, previous years, like there'd be times where you'd go months and you wouldn't even like have any conversation with someone on the DB of the ball. Yeah, and it's just like, that's just the nature of it. Like, you practice, but in the lock, some guys are on different schedules and classes and things like that, but there's times where you just don't talk to like a defensive back or a linebacker or something. But I think this year, and I'm glad to be a part of like this close-knit group of guys where I could go up and sit next to one of the DBs and just like have lunch or whatever, and it's just like not weird or.
Yeah, that's dope. What you said you and the O-line hang out a lot.
Yeah,
I feel like that's always a big just like get together that people in the NFL and in general are interested about. It's like when the O-line just gets together. What's that like, man? And what do you guys do?
Yeah, so in a spring, like every other week, we'd all go out, we'd pick a new restaurant, and we'd roll 15 to 18 deep and just like take over.
Awesome.
But like it's a lot of fun. Like, we all just get along so well together, and people love, they love seeing us out at these restaurants and see how much we can eat. Everyone's curious, like, what an lineman can eat and things like that. But like, I don't know, it's just, we usually all get an appetizer, we all get an entree, maybe even 2 entrees, and just ash it out.
Do you have a favorite restaurant?
Fat Dan's.
Fat Dan's? So we got to sponsor. Fat Dan's got to sponsor the O-line.
And we go, like, the O-line's gone there multiple times, and we talk to the managers, but...
Pete, we'll hook it up. We'll make it happen. That'd be awesome. Dude, that's awesome. I one thing I love about football is how close knit
Yeah.
each position group is and each friend group is within, I guess, micro group. Yeah. Because my brothers have said, man, like you spend forever together, especially fall camp.
Yeah.
He wanted me to ask how, what fall camp is like and how it is to quote, not have a life.
Yeah. For, a whole month, you are in the facility from 7 a.m. to 9 at night. And it's just, I think that's what makes teams the closest, because you're going through it, but you're with your boys,
Yeah.
it sucks. Like, life sucks during that time. But it makes it better that it's like the little things too. It's like, the feeling of walking off the field after a tough, you lose 10 pounds in practice. It's so hot, it's humid, but seeing your boy walking off the field, you're like, yo, dude, we just got through day 13 of fall camp. It's like, all right, so those kind of little things keep stacking, and let's play ping pong.
Yeah.
In our 30 minutes we have between meetings. Or it's those little things that kind of get you through fall camp, but it's an absolute grind, and I'm sure your brothers know that.
Yeah, because he said, just like you said, we're in there at 7, I'm leaving at 9 or leaving at 8, and he's texting me at 9:30. And for the longest time, and I tell you, for the longest time, I was like, bro, you're just exaggerating. You're just trying to make it seem like you're working harder. But after I've asked more questions, I'm like, okay, yeah, you guys are in there forever.
Yeah.
What do you guys even do? What's a 7 to 9 even look like?
So, she's going to breakfast.
Okay.
And then usually have a lift or meetings, and then share lunch. Because we were a morning practice team in fall camp, but now we're afternoon practice team. So breakfast, practice, lunch, either lift or meetings, and then dinner, and then more meetings, and then a snack at night. But it's the meetings are what, because you're in there for hours, and it's lights are off. It's very easy to fall into just close my eyes. But when you have a guy like Coach Bo said, because I sit, here's his desk. I'm right there. So if I ever fell asleep, it wouldn't be good. But that's just the grind of fall camp, and the meetings are just brutal.
It's the meetings that I'm curious about, because I'm like, how do you meet for that long? What are you guys even going through? And I know coaches, man. Coaches love to talk. They love to talk. Do you have any tricks to stay awake in the meetings? Because my brothers have said, for them, and I don't know who watched this, but for them, they'll eat. It's hard to fall asleep when you're eating.
Yeah.
Some have Zins. They'll have some Zins in. Coffee, caffeine.
Yeah.
I don't know yours, but do you have any tricks?
When I was younger, it's kind of insane, but a water bottle, and I would put my eye, put my eye in the hole and go like that, both eyes, and just kind of waterboard will support my eyeballs. That would work for I don't know. I would have to do it every 15, 20 minutes.
And so you would be exhausted.
Yeah, it's brutal. And I'm not a coffee guy. Throwing some Zins every once in a while.
Hey, at that point, it's anything.
Freshman, sophomore, junior year, the water thing, it's brutal.
Where'd you learn that from, the water thing?
Oh, well, first I would kind of use the outside of the bottle,
it's cold. Yeah,
I'd put it on my eyes, and I'm screw it, I need a quick. So I just kind of just eye wash. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about you in the meeting and just being like, because you have to get to a certain type of tired
Yeah.
to do that.
Because it's not even, because once you get to a certain point, like once you pass the threshold of time, like you're,
Yes.
there's no,
No, there's no
I mean,
going back.
unless you like, the meeting's over, but I mean, you get to that point and there's no, you got to do something. And my thing was water, like pouring water in my eyes.
That's awesome, man. I'm really glad. I just learned that.
Ask everyone.
Really?
I bet everyone has something.
Yeah.
Some people chew on bottle caps or
Yeah.
pen caps or doodle. Like I doodle a lot. I'll just write. I do signatures. Like I'll write everyone's signatures in the room, like just how I think they would write it.
Yeah.
And so like Bray Lynch, Drew Evans, like Carter Smith, like everyone. It's just
That's so good.
it has their little niche that they do that gets them through meetings.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So what if I guess meetings then look a lot different than meetings now?
Yeah. I mean, and it's just when you are watching the same clips over and over and over and over, and the lights are dark, and you're just watching this one screen. It's you kind of just zone out, and that's what. But
Yeah, you gotta just. You ever hit like the sit up and you're like, all right,
stand ups,
really?
just stand up, and some guys have stood up and fell asleep standing up.
There's no way.
Yeah. Like, I think, I don't know who, but there's been guys that stand up and just.
Wow. See, that's the stuff that I always tell people, I'm like, dude, I ask these questions and I do these podcasts because I'm just interested.
Yeah.
And I like to figure out stuff for myself because, dude, it's.
Because every athlete is relate in some way.
Yes.
Whether that, I mean, but it's cool hearing other perspectives. Like, it's cool hearing basketball, and I'm really like best friends with Adam Howard. So like, I hear all like the kind of the inside scoop of basketball, and then he loves Indiana football, and so I give him the inside scoop on football. It's kind of this really cool perspective.
Yeah. What's I guess to relate to the meetings and stuff. We don't really have meetings in basketball. It's more of just film.
Yeah.
And the room gets dark, and it's all about depending on like where you sit.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was at Northwestern, I would sit right next to on the edge, front row edge, right, and our head coach would be like on the chair next to me, like standing up, foot up. And I would hit one of these, never fall asleep. I'd go like this.
I'd hit that. And that's when you're like, I've done that so many times. But it's not, I'm not falling asleep.
No.
Maybe close my eyes for like 2 seconds,
Yeah.
like just to feel scared. But I've hit that move many, many, many times.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, so now I'm curious, like moving on to like the current season, because I know people want to hear about that. What's like just the energy like, man? Because I know when you win, it feels good, bro. It feels great.
Yeah.
The vibes are great.
Yeah.
Energy's great. You said in this kind of middle part of the season, there can always be some slippage.
Yeah.
Just like, what's it like?
There's this swagger to this team that I've never seen before, and that comes from like the top down, like Sig and the whole staff that came from JMU, all the players that came from JMU. They brought that like swagger with them, and it seeped through to the team like early on. So and there's just like this confidence in this swagger that this team has, and like the winning culture that Sig brought. It's because like freshman, sophomore year, when we were good, like we were 8-4 in that COVID year when we were like really good, that we had that confidence, that momentum, But then we just slowly, like every year, we kept losing it. And then Sig comes in, knocks the door down, and just like it was just this night and day switch of this like aura and swagger that Sig brought, and it's really carried over the team and the players. And it's just credit to him and how he, carries himself and just his everything he's about.
Yeah, no, that's always interesting to me because I just like the culture thing is something you always hear.
Yeah.
Like as a player, right?
You're like,
what's it mean? What did it even look like?
But
yeah,
Sig has established a culture here, and it's just everyone asks me like, what's the difference between, and I just say like just a winning culture that he brings.
Yeah.
Like there's no point during any part of the game that it's like, oh, like we could use this game. It's like, no, like we're not only are we going to keep going, but as the game goes on, we're going to keep pounding and put our foot on their throats like in the fourth quarter and just dominate them. And that's comes from him and the team in the huddles, like on the sideline, just getting the boys going.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm always curious about the culture because I'm with the Oklahoma City Thunder, like G League team, but we have the same like rules, the same culture, honestly. Great culture. And I never really understood a culture until I became a part of something that was already established. Like when I came here with Woody, he was just getting his feet, like settled in and figuring out everything. So that was different. But like, for example, for me, it was the biggest thing is be on time.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're never going to be late. We signed a guy on the G League team. Okay. We signed a guy. He was there 4 days and got cut and got waived.
Who's this?
He was like 3 minutes late to a, like his, training type, like, treatment time.
Yeah.
He was like 4 minutes late to a lift. And then he was like, maybe like 1 minute late to his like court individual time. Gone.
Yeah.
Hacked his stuff, played a game with us, packed his stuff, he was gone. Is there anything like that? Because now, I mean, I'm not like, I'm like, are there any real like non-negotiables? Like, dude, this is what we do.
Yeah. There are, and I think it's just all comes back to like the standard that Sig holds.
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to when he was with Coach Saban at Alabama. Like you hear all these stories about Saban and like he doesn't let anything slide. Like you're going to be a high character guy and you're going to grind and you're going to play your butt off. And I think he brought that kind of standard from Coach Saban, and he's the same way here. And if anything slips in practice, if it's not up to his standard, we're doing it again.
Yeah.
Like team run, good on good, like ones on ones. If the 4 plays weren't good enough, we're gonna run another 4 plays, and you're just gonna keep going until it's up to the standard. And I think that's kind of positively affected us this year, because now if we don't play up to the standard, like we're gonna get it fixed or we're not gonna play.
Yeah,
that's just the bottom line.
Dude, that's awesome. I got one last thing that I'll ask. It's kind of just random. I just thought of it. If you could be switch positions with anybody on the team and experience like what they would experience like throughout the game, and let's just say they would have a great game, what position would it be?
Either like a D end or a quarterback, because like obviously quarterback, like
quarterback.
Yeah, I think a sneaky one's like a D end, like a Nick Bosa or TJ Watt. It's like, dude, you can get like 4 sacks a game and just like it literally destroy teams. Like if you go like TJ Watt destroys games.
Yeah.
Like it's not, hey, he's a game wrecker, and people have to like fully game plan around him. And if you have a guy like that, it can just make a huge difference.
That's a really good answer.
Yeah.
I think mine would probably be the same. If you could just spawn into TJ Watt's body and just like have a sack, have a pick or something too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, hey, I appreciate it, bro. This was awesome. After every podcast, we just like do a
Cheers.
yeah, cheers. Cool, that was awesome.
Good flow.
We hope you loved this episode of Players Perspective. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Stay connected with Hoosiers Connect on social media for even more exciting content featuring IU student athletes. Until next time, Hoosier Nation.